There were things that I was successful at, but long-term relationships were not one of them. And I felt that it was really not my destiny to have a long-term relationship, and marriage really didn't interest me.
Victoria Principal enjoys dipping her toes in various pursuits to find out what's right for her. She considered traditional careers like medicine or law before deciding acting was the path for her. She felt connected to the role of Pam on the soap opera Dallas, and it kick-started her career. She's also dipped her toe into the dating pool several times. When marriage did begin to interest her, not one of her attempts at romance lasted forever. She's the kind of woman who'd rather move on to a better relationship when one sours. Her early life. Victoria Principal was born January 3, 1950, in Fukuoka, Japan, to Victor Rocco Principal and Bertha Ray Principal. She spent the first 3 months of her life there. Her father was a U.S. Air Force sergeant, and she moved often. She went to 17 different schools, including the Royal Ballet School, while her family was in London. Like many child actresses, she began in commercials early at age 5. She didn't expect to keep up with it forever and enrolled at Miami-Dade Community College to study medicine. While driving back from the library, she was involved in a car accident with a drunk driver. She was seriously injured. Months of recovery gave her time to reflect. Was she willing to retake her first year of studies after having almost completed them before the accident? She decided to change course. When she recovered, she moved to New York City to pursue acting. She then went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London to learn more and finally moved to Los Angeles. Her early work. Victoria's first major film role was as Marie Elena in 1972's The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean. Her skills made the film's writer, John Milius, enlarge her role. She also earned her first Golden Globe nomination for Most Promising Newcomer. Her next role was 1973's risque comedy The Naked Ape. It was a flop. The 1974 disaster film Earthquake was more promising as one of the era's highest-grossing films. She received 4 Academy Award nominations and 2 Golden Globe nominations for it. She then acted in lesser-known films such as I Will, For Now, and Vigilante Force. They helped her secure a 3-picture deal with Brute Productions. She took a brief time off from acting from 1975 to 77, going behind the camera as a talent and booking agent. She hoped it would finance her college tuition for law school. She changed that ambition later, but did get an honorary degree from the University of West Los Angeles School of Law in 1993. She returned to the character she played in Earthquake in 1976 by shooting additional scenes for the film. Some of her earliest TV work included the pilot of Fantasy Island and the 1977 TV film The Night They Took Miss Beautiful. She was then offered a show she couldn't refuse. Finding Dallas. Victoria is best known for her work on the TV soap opera Dallas. By the time she got the pilot script, she left law school behind and returned to acting. She said, quote, "I had already fallen in love with the show and with the part. So my feeling from the moment I read it was that it was incredibly special and that I really, really wanted to be a part of it. I could not imagine not being Pam." She even admitted later that she turned down another potential role that would have created scheduling conflicts so she could be on the show. She was an actress who loved to work with and influence her characters. She admitted,
"I'm told to a certain degree what's going to happen to me as Pam, so I know which way my character's going, and that way I can discuss whether I like it or not."
Victoria was also her own manager at the time, so she had control over her contracts. She removed a clause that would have let the network profit from any of her outside endeavors. That's why she was one of the only cast members who did outside work like commercials, movies, and books. Dallas was more than just a soap opera, it was a national phenomenon. The 1980 cliffhanger episode Who Done It brought closure to the Who Shot JR cliffhanger. It was the highest-rated TV episode in history at the time. It remains the second highest-rated primetime telecast ever. Victoria spent 9 years on Dallas from 1978 before leaving it in 91. Many of her favorite writers had left, and she felt the show's quality had diminished because of it. She still felt grateful for the role, saying, quote, "I learned a lot from playing Pam. She was someone with such innate goodness and who was courageous in fighting for what she believed in. It was really a privilege to play her." Her other acting. Victoria worked to distance all of her acting outside of Dallas from her character on the show. She didn't want to be boxed into only one persona. She started her own production company, Victoria Principal Productions. It focuses primarily on TV films. A few major productions she starred in include 1989's Naked Lie and Blind Witness and 1990's Sparks: The Price of Passion. Victoria even returned to soap operas in the 2000s as part of the short-lived TV series Titans. It was supposed to be Dynasty for the new millennium, but got low ratings and only aired 11 of its 13 filmed episodes. Her love life. Victoria has been romantically linked to many men that included Frank Sinatra, Anthony Perkins, Lance Rankstell, Desi Arnaz Jr., Mark Sanganor, and Charles Schmidt. She still claims to have had fewer serious relationships than most. Only 3 ever led to marriage. Christopher Skinner. Victoria met Christopher in 1978 when he came on Dallas to play a bit part. It allegedly only took 3 dates for them to decide they wanted to be together forever. The marriage didn't last, though. They filed for divorce in 1980, and it was finalized in 81. Victoria's 75-hour-a-week schedule was too much for Christopher. She admitted, quote, "We married just before the incredible upsurge in Dallas's popularity. It was good for the first year and more, but he finally realized he wanted a more traditional marriage with a lady more available at home." There were also claims that Christopher was unfaithful. Andy Gibb. Victoria had a relationship with songwriter Andy Gibb, the youngest member of the Bee Gees. He had always had a crush on her and admitted,
People magazine asked me what my favorite shows were on TV, and I said Dallas only because of Victoria Principal.
They met in person in 1981 when they were both guests on The John Davidson Show. Andy gushed about her on air, and the two had an immediate connection. He got her number and they began dating. The low-key nature eventually became public. They celebrated their love on a duet of All I Have to Do Is Dream, which was Andy's last single and the only one Victoria ever put out. The relationship ended in March of 1982 as Andy's drug problems got worse and worse. She said, quote, "Our breakup was preceded and precipitated by Andy's use of drugs. I did everything I could to help him, but then I told him he would have to choose between me and his problem." The press hounded her after the breakup, suggesting that Andy was pushed into addiction by a broken heart. He admitted,
When we did split up, it didn't seem... What hurt me was that she didn't seem to go through any pain at all. And I felt a bit strange being the man feeling the pain and the weakness. And it really was hell for me.
Victoria made it clear she understood his pain but didn't cause his addiction. She also said he would always be dear to her. Andy Gibb died March 10, 1988. Henry Glassman. Henry was a prominent plastic surgeon throughout Beverly Hills. He and Victoria met in 1983. They were both going through divorces at the time. She was dealing with an emotional split from Andy. He was arguing over property with his ex-wife Jane. The divorces were eventually finalized and Victoria was deeply in love with Harry. She also loved his children from his previous marriage. Victoria and Harry were married June 22, 1985. They didn't have children of their own together. Rumors flew that Victoria didn't want to have children because she didn't want pregnancy to affect her body. She debunked the rumors and said she was struggling with infertility. They lived together in harmony in Beverly Hills until May of 2006. She filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Harry and Victoria had been in the news due to domestic violence claims shortly before their divorce. Henry was arrested in 2002 and charged with inflicting corporal injury, but released on bail. Victoria split more than $50 million of her assets with her ex. Claims arose that she only did so because he had dirt on her, a large amount of cosmetic surgery he'd performed on her. Making that public would ruin her image of maintaining her beauty through natural methods. Victoria insists these rumors are unfounded. Here's why producers killed JR on Dallas. JR, or John Ross Ewing Jr., was undoubtedly the most famous character from Dallas. The egocentric and psychopathic oil baron was a real crowd puller. Actor Larry Hagman played the role, and even after being the show's most famous character, the producers of Dallas decided to kill JR in the 25th episode of Season 3. The episode's considered one of the most famous cliffhanger episodes of all time. Audiences were promised that in the November 21st, 1980 episode, it would be revealed to them who killed JR. And believe it or not, 350 million people sat glued to their screen to find out who JR's mystery killer was. Since JR was so popular, his death came as a big surprise. So why did the producers and writers of Dallas decide to kill the series' most famous character? Well, the success of the show had gone to Larry Hagman's head, and he had become quite difficult to deal with. During the third season, Larry decided to take undue advantage of his popularity and threatened to leave the show unless producers agreed to meet all of his demands. The producers were pissed, and instead of caving in, they decided to kill Hagman's character. Hagman and Gray were great buddies. There was one person on the set he got along very well with, and that was Linda Gray, who played Sue Ellen Wing, JR's unhappy wife. Thankfully, their relationship was entirely platonic. They were just great friends. After all, when co-actors enter into romantic relationships, love eventually becomes a problem in some way or another. Gray once famously said that acting with Hagman was similar to playing tennis with someone who knew the game better than her. Hagman drank like a fish. On Dallas, it was Linda Gray's character, Sue Ellen, who, after an unhappy marriage to JR, drowned her sorrows in alcohol. After a point, Linda got so tired of playing the drunk woman, she decided to quit the show. Though Sue Ellen was the one who struggled with alcoholism in Dallas, in real life it was Larry Hagman who drank like a fish. Patrick Duffy, who played the youngest Ewing son, Bobby, said in an interview that he and Hagman drank a lot while on the set. According to Duffy, the two would start their day with a glass of champagne, followed by another drink during lunch, and would end the shooting day with a bottle of wine. This would usually be followed by another drink before dinner. Further, according to Duffy, while he would not drink between shots, Hagman consumed alcohol throughout the day. Are you enjoying these facts about Dallas? Audiences loved Dallas, but they hated Season 9, which came to be known as the Dream Season. We'll tell you how and why the writers of the show decided to come up with the Dream Season. And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. In Hagman's opinion, JR was not a bad guy. J.R. Ewing was certainly a flawed character. However, according to Hagman, the guy was just misunderstood. In an interview with Ultimate Dallas, Hagman weighed in on JR. According to Hagman, JR was a businessman, and therefore had to be the way he was. More importantly, since the guy always takes care of his family, you can't say he's an all-out bad character. Well, they say the best villains are those who feel convinced they're doing the right thing. Perhaps the true reason behind JR's popularity is the fact that Hagman believed JR was right, and therefore played the part with conviction. Thousands of Dallas fans visit the South Fork Ranch each year. Those who have seen the show must most certainly be familiar with the South Fork Ranch. The ranch houses the Ewing Mansion, which was at the center of Dallas. The South Fork Ranch has been turned into a museum and event space now, and every year, thousands of Dallas fans visit the ranch. It houses the graves of Miss Ellie, Jock, and JR. Of course, the graves are empty, but fans nevertheless visit them and pay their respects. After JR was shot dead on the show, fans of Dallas held a vigil for their favorite character, much to the anguish of the family who lived there. That day, the lawn at South Fork was filled with hundreds of disappointed Dallas fans. Dallas fans have Gerald Immel to thank for the show's theme song. Even those who haven't seen Dallas are aware of the show's iconic theme song. After all, the show's catchy theme gets stuck in your head pretty easily. Gerald Immel is the man behind Dallas's iconic theme song. He not only wrote and composed the theme song of the show, but also created the score for the entire series. He was also chosen to create music for the first 2 Dallas TV movies. He also scored the music for Knots Landing as well as the 2012 reboot version of Dallas. However, he's most prominently remembered for his work on Voyagers and Gunsmoke. Dallas was initially called Houston. When David Jacobs started working on the plot for the show, he didn't have much in mind. But he knew one thing for sure is that he wanted to base the story in Texas, and that it would be about a family dealing in oil. During his background research, he came to understand that Houston was the oil town in Texas, and therefore he chose Houston as the base for his story. After working on the script, Jacob approached the executives at Lorimar Television. The script landed in Lorimar executive Michael Filerman's hands, and he loved it. However, there was one thing he didn't like: the name Houston. According to Filerman, the title Houston didn't have a ring to it. He suggested Jacobs move his story to Dallas. Dallas was a banking and insurance town, and therefore the idea didn't appeal much to Jacobs. Further, Jacobs knew nothing about the town, except for the fact that it was the site of the Kennedy assassination. However, he decided to listen to Filerman, and it's good he did. Dallas certainly sounds better than Houston. Here's another fun fact. Dallas was supposed to be a 5-episode miniseries, and David Jacobs wrote only the first and final episode of the original script. Arthur Bernard Lewis, Virginia Aldridge, and Camille Marchetta worked on the other 3 episodes. Of these 3, Lewis emerged as the show's most prominent writer. Victoria Principal refused to return to the show even after being offered a hefty fee. Pamela Ewing and Bobby Ewing's love story had millions of viewers hooked to the show. It was a tragic but unforgettable story. Victoria Principal played Pamela Barnes Ewing on Dallas for 10 seasons. During season 10, her character died in a tragic car accident after her car ran into a truck carrying propane, leaving Pamela's body completely charred. After her death, fans of the show kept rooting for her return. So the producers of Dallas approached Victoria Principal about making a return to the series. However, Victoria didn't want to spoil what had been a perfectly memorable ending to her character and storyline, so she declined. In return, the producers offered to pay her a huge amount of money, which would have made her the highest-paid actress on television. Victoria, however, didn't budge, and that's why the producers cast Margaret Michaels as Pamela, with the background story being Pamela had undergone extreme plastic surgery to revive her face after the accident. The dream season was conceived to bring back Patrick Duffy. Patrick Duffy decided to quit the show to pursue other opportunities. Thus, his character was killed in season 8's finale of Dallas. However, after he departed, not only did the show's ratings decline, but Patrick also realized he wasn't getting the kind of work he expected to. Therefore, when the production company and Larry Hagman asked him to return to the series, he agreed immediately. However, the problem was, how were they going to explain his return to the show? To make it possible, the entire season 9 was annulled as a dream that Pamela Barnes saw. Thus, everything that happened in season 9 stood canceled in season 10. Audiences hated the twist. However, they clearly forgave the writers and actors as the show lasted another 5 years after the dream season. There's a reason why Sue Ellen lost the election. In the 2012 reboot version, Sue Ellen ran for governor of Texas. Audiences were told she had amassed a ton of wealth and powerful friends over the years to be able to run for the highest office in the state. However, Linda Gray was told from the beginning she would lose the election. Why? Well, producers told her if she won, they would have to fly her in and out of Austin, the state's capital, a lot. And frankly, they didn't have the budget for it. What a shame. All of us were rooting for her. Larry Hagman. Who could have been better to play a Texas oil tycoon than Larry Hagman, who was a native Texan himself? He started his career playing bit parts on TV shows and landing the occasional film role. His breakthrough role was in I Dream of Jeannie, which is what made him a star. But it was the role as J.R. Ewing in Dallas that made Larry a household name. Larry Hagman continued to have a successful career in film and TV following Dallas. His feature film work included roles in Superman, Stardust, Mother Jugs and Speed, and Flight of the Swan. He also had recurring roles on Desperate Housewives and Nip Tuck. He died in 2012 at age 81 due to complications from cancer. Before we tell you more about Dallas actors who have died, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more. Barbara Bel Geddes. JR's mother, Ellie Ewing, was played by veteran actress Barbara Bel Geddes. She began her career on stage, acting in the Broadway production of Out of the Frying Pan. She also had regular roles on TV, including Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Her film career included roles in Vertigo, Summer Tree, and Mrs. Todd Killings. When she landed her role on Dallas, she became one of American TV's favorite matriarchs. She died in 2005 of lung cancer. Ken Kercheval. JR had an enemy in Cliff Barnes. The role was played by Ken Kercheval, who was perfect for it. He already had a lot of experience working in soap operas, including roles on The Secret Storm, How to Survive a Marriage, and Search for Tomorrow. After Dallas, he continued to work in popular shows like Kojak, Starsky and Hutch, and Matlock. In the 90s and 2000s, he appeared on shows like Diagnosis Murder and Walker, Texas Ranger. He also had occasional film work, including roles in films like Pretty Poison, Beretta's Island, and Badass. His final role was in the film Surviving in L.A., which was released after his death in 2020. He died in 2019 at age 83 due to a long illness. Jim Davis. The formidable Jim Davis played Jock Ewing, the patriarch of the family. He had launched his career acting in the film Winter Meeting alongside Bette Davis. Much of his career before Dallas was in B-movies. Among these, many of them were westerns. It was clear he had a knack for playing characters living in the Old West. This made him perfect to play one in the New West as well. When he was cast as Jock Ewing, he became a huge star. Sadly, he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma while working on the 4th season. He died due to complications from his illness in 1981 at age 71. His character was so loved on the show, the character wasn't recast with another actor. It even took time for the writers to kill off his character on the show. For much of the series, it was simply implied that Jock was alive. Howard Keel. After the character of Jock Ewing was finally killed off, the show's writers decided to find a new love interest for Ellie. This character would become her second husband, Clayton Farrow. He was played by Howard Keel. The actor was born in Illinois and grew up in California. He began his career working in many musicals, including Three Guys Named Mike, Showboat, and Annie Get Your Gun. He also appeared in many westerns, including Calamity Jane, where he played the famous outlaw Wild Bill Hickok. He was primarily a film actor who didn't start working regularly in TV until his role in Dallas. He died in 2004 from complications of colon cancer. George Kennedy. JR wasn't the only oil tycoon on Dallas. There was also Carter McKay, played by George Kennedy. This prolific and versatile actor was born in a showbiz family. As early as age 2, he was part of a touring production of Bringing Up Father. By 7, he was a DJ at a local radio station in New York. He would later enlist in the U.S. Army during World War II and served 16 years in the military, eventually becoming a captain. He served under General Patton and received 2 Bronze Stars. He began his TV career on The Phil Silvers Show. In the 60s, he began his film career and had a successful run with the medium. His film work included roles in films such as Lonely Are the Brave, Straight Jacket, Mirage, and The Sons of Katie Elder. He later won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role as Dragline in Cool Hand Luke. As such, he was a welcome face when cast as Carter McKay in the later seasons of Dallas. This role was reprised in 2 Dallas TV movies, Dallas JR Returns and Dallas War of the Ewings. George Kennedy died in 2016 from a heart ailment. He was 91. The rest of the cast. There are still a few surviving members of the main and supporting cast. JR's brother was Bobby Ewing, played by Patrick Duffy. Bobby was the misfit of the Ewing family, though oddly enough he was the only one who isn't considered a villainous character. Patrick Duffy began his career in the 70s. His breakthrough came in a TV show called Man from Atlantis. He also had bit parts in Charlie's Angels and The Love Boat. His breakthrough came when he was cast as Bobby in Dallas. After Dallas, one of his most successful roles was in the show Step by Step. Today he continues to work mostly in television. His major work has been in the soap opera The Bold and the Beautiful. He's currently working on a show called On the Verge. Linda Gray played Sue Ellen Ewing, JR's wife. It was supposed to be a small role we'd only see in a few episodes, but Linda Gray's performance was so good, the writers had to give her more screen time. Before Dallas, she had a few bit parts on TV as well as a few roles in films. She showed her acting chops in Dallas, and Sue Ellen became one of the most popular characters. After Dallas, she continued to act. Her major work included roles in Melrose Place, Models Inc., and Hilton Head Island. Her latest work was a lead role in the feature film Intuitions, released in 2019. Ray Krebs was the illegitimate son of the Ewing family. He was played by actor Steve Canale. Ray Krebs was Steve's most popular role, and after the show ended, he continued to have recurring roles in shows like Charlie's Angels, Touched by an Angel, and Walker, Texas Ranger. His final work was on the 2012 revival of Dallas. He lives in California and focuses more on philanthropy. Pam Ewing was a member of the rival Barnes family, but ended up marrying Bobby Ewing. She was played by Victoria Principal. Outside of Dallas, she's had many guest appearances in popular shows like Home Improvement, Just Shoot Me, and Family Guy. Today, she focuses mostly on philanthropy and her production company. Lucy Ewing was a sporadic character through the series. She was played by Charlene Tilton. Prior to Dallas, she had roles on TV shows like Happy Days. She also appeared in the 1978 film Freaky Friday. And after Dallas, she appeared in a slew of parody films like Silence of the Hams. Her most recent acting role was in the 2019 film Starting Up Love. She also got a successful career in music, appearing in a European dance show called C'est la vie. Susan Howard played Donna Culver-Krebs, who was in a strained relationship with her husband Ray. Susan eventually left the show after Patrick Duffy returned following the so-called dream season. Her other television work included roles in Star Trek, Mission Impossible, and Bonanza. She acts sporadically today and focuses mainly on political activism, working with organizations like the NRA and the Texas Republican Party. Deborah Renard's first role was as Secretary Sly Lovegren. After Dallas, she had roles in shows like Days of Our Lives, Family Law, and Kung Fu: The Legend Continues. She also had roles in feature films like Lionheart and Kazam. Her latest role was in a 2020 film, Deck the Heart. Jenna Wade was played by none other than Priscilla Presley. Well, actually, it was first played by Morgan Fairchild, then Francine Tucker, then Presley was given the role. Presley, of course, has taken different career paths through her life. However, she works in film and TV on occasion. She's currently working on a Netflix animated show called Agent King. Finally, John Ross Ewing III, JR and Sue Ellen's son, was played by Omri Katz. After Dallas, he had a lead role in the TV show Erie, Indiana, and a starring role in the film Hocus Pocus. His last role was a 2002 short called Journey into Night. Larry Hagman. Larry was the successful lead of another show, I Dream of Jeannie, appearing in 139 episodes. Then in 1978, he was offered two roles, Joe Namath in The Waverly Wonders or JR in Dallas. His wife helped him make the right decision. He was one of the only cast members to appear in all 357 episodes of Dallas, stealing the lead from Victoria Principal. His most famous arc was the 8-episode-long Who Shot JR mystery. It was so popular it helped him negotiate for higher pay, and he also earned 4 Golden Globe and 2 Primetime Emmy nominations for his work on the show. After 13 years, he appeared in Primary Colors and the TV movie Dallas, JR Returns and Dallas, War of the Ewings. He took a break from acting until 2006, when he reappeared in 5 eps of Nip Tuck. His final acting roles were a 2-episode arc on Desperate Housewives in 2011 and the 2012 revival of Dallas. He was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver from his heavy drinking. He underwent a transplant after a malignant tumor was found in his liver in 1995. He also suffered from throat cancer. Hagman died at age 81, November 23, 2012, at a hospital from complications of cancer. Ken Kercheval. Ken's breakout role was in 1973's 7-Ups. He played Ray Krebs before being perfectly cast as Cliff Barnes, JR's nemesis. Ken collected over 63 starring roles in all. After Dallas ended, he appeared in I Still Dream of Jeannie, Murder, She Wrote, The Golden Palace, Walker, Texas Ranger, and more. He also showed up for 2 of the Dallas spin-off films, Dallas, JR Returns, and Dallas, War of the Ewings. He also had 14 episodes on the Dallas reboot series. His final role was Surviving LA in 2020. Ken was diagnosed with lung cancer after heavy smoking and had to have part of his lung removed in 1994. He was diagnosed with pneumonia in 2019 and died in April of that year at age 83. Barbara Bel Geddes. Barbara started her career in the 40s on Broadway. She won awards and got her film debut in 1947's The Long Night. Her next role, Mama I Remember, earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Her name appeared in the infamous Hollywood Blacklist in 1951, but she moved to the stage and small screen. She appeared in Alfred Hitchcock Presents and the director's famous film Vertigo. She was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame in 1993 after appearing in 15 plays. Barbara was the first star to sign on to Dallas as Miss Ellie. It was her final role, and she only took it because she was desperate for money after her husband's death 6 years before. Barbara had to sit out the end of the 6th season due to quadruple bypass surgery. Donna Reed replaced her until she returned. Barbara retired in 1990 and found a home in Maine. She spent her final years making art and writing children's books. She died of lung cancer at age 82 in 2005. Patrick Duffy. Patrick Duffy's life began with tragedy. His parents were murdered in their tavern in Montana by two 19-year-old men they had kicked out earlier. Patrick went after his dreams anyway and graduated from the University of Washington in 1971 with a drama degree. He ruptured his vocal cords his senior year, but he still landed the lead in Man from Atlantis. He then joined the cast of Dallas as Bobby Ewing. His character was killed off, but then reappeared a year later in an infamous shower scene where it was all revealed to be a dream. When Dallas ended, he looked for work where he could find it. One of the first projects was the sitcom Step by Step. He acted in and directed many episodes from 1991 to 1998. He also appeared in shows like Family Guy and Reba and the film You Again. He joined the soap opera The Bold and the Beautiful as Stephen Logan for 151 episodes from 2006 to 2012 and reappeared for the Dallas reboot from 2012 to 2014. Linda Gray. Linda Gray had appeared in over 400 commercials, but Sue Ellen Ewing was her breakout role. She describes the family's matriarch as the original Desperate Housewife. She was briefly fired after asking for a pay raise, but when Larry Hagman threatened to leave, they let her come back. After Dallas ended, she starred in a few films before getting the lead in the show Models Inc. in 1994. It lasted a season and went off the air. She returned for the two Dallas reunion films and the reboot from 2012 to 2014. She also got 6 episodes on The Bold and the Beautiful and roles in projects like 90210, Hidden Moon, and the Hallmark film Perfect Match. She was also a stage performer, playing Mrs. Robinson on the West End run of The Graduate. Her latest on-screen appearances were films like Granddaddy Daycare and Intuitions. She's 82 and lives in California with her children and 2 grandsons. She's also promoting her memoir, The Road to Happiness is Always Under Construction. Steve Canale. Steve Canale was a multitasking and multi-talented actor. While he played Ray Krebs, he also appeared on other shows like Fantasy Island, The Love Boat, and The Twilight Zone. He appeared in films like Driving Me Crazy and Double Trouble, and got a role in the show Okavango, The Wild Frontier. It only lasted 2 seasons, but he also had a 10-episode arc on All My Children. He acted in independent films before playing Ray again in Dallas: War of the Ewings. His final acting role was on an episode of the show Divanity in 2014. He retired at 76 and has been living on a ranch in California with his family since then. He's also a respected watercolor artist. Howard Keel. Howard Keel was already a star who appeared in musicals on stage and screen by the time he signed on to play Clayton Farlow on Dallas. His success started to dip at the time, and the role was just the boost he needed. He appeared on other shows such as Murder, She Wrote, Heart to Heart, and My Father's House. He even released his debut album at age 64 in 1984 and followed it up with 2 more. He was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2004 and sadly died 6 weeks later on November 7th. Victoria Principal. Victoria was working as an agent and intended to go to law school, but then she saw the script for Dallas. The role of Pamela Barnes Ewing was too great to pass up, and it earned her a Golden Globe nomination. The business-minded woman also created Victoria Principal Productions in 1987. She produced and starred in 6 films through it. She also has a line of skincare and has written 3 books about beauty and skincare. She's 72 and focused on promoting her products and books. Her charity, the Victoria Principal Foundation for Thoughtful Existence, has donated $200,000 to clean the Gulf Coast oil spill in 2010, gave funds to the victims of the Southern California wildfires in 2017, and sent fleets of boats to rescue animals after Hurricane Harvey. Charlene Tinton. Charlene Tinton was one of the many Dallas cast members who can call it their breakout role. She was one of the most popular stars, earning $50,000 per episode, appearing on 500 magazine covers and drawing in 65 million viewers during her wedding episode. Her success in Dallas led to plenty of other projects. That included westerns like Border Shootout, comedies like Problem Child 2, and a guest spot on Married with Children. She's appeared in several Lifetime and Hallmark movies as well. Her most recent roles were in 2021's A Unicorn for Christmas and 2023's Heaven Sent. early acting career. From an early age, Victoria Principal knew she was destined for a career as an entertainer. Born in Japan to an Army Air Corps sergeant, she grew up living all over the world. According to reports, she attended no less than 17 schools before adulthood, as her family was constantly relocating. This transient lifestyle bred loneliness, but allowed Victoria's interest in performing to blossom. She landed her first acting role at age 5 in a commercial. Bitten by the acting bug, Victoria went on to study at London's Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts after a brief stint in community college. Her first few years trying to break into the industry after graduation were rocky, forcing her at one point to quit acting altogether. She spent years working odd jobs before trying again, eventually landing minor parts in shows like Love American Style and Fantasy Island. Her big break came in 1978 when she achieved overnight stardom playing Pamela Barnes Ewing on CBS's Dallas. According to Victoria, she fell instantly in love with the role of Pam and fought hard to convince producers she was right for the part. Her audition paid off, catapulting the 28-year-old actress to national fame. On the show, her marriage to Bobby Ewing was central to the plot. Their families were rivals in the Texas oil biz, and watching their ensuing Romeo and Juliet-esque romance riveted audiences. Dallas ultimately ran for 14 seasons, with Victoria starring in it for 9 straight years and winning 4 Emmys. Victoria has been candid over the years when recalling her time on Dallas. She gives tremendous credit to the talented writing team for the first 5 seasons that won over viewers with clever, emotional plot lines. But in subsequent seasons, she grew increasingly frustrated with what she felt was declining quality. She was outspoken about wanting better contracts for the show's writers, believing retaining strong writing talent would get Dallas back on track story-wise. Her protests contributed to tensions on set. By 1987, she was ready to leave. She requested her character Pam be killed off for good rather than leaving the door open for cameos. A dramatic automobile accident closed the book on Pam's story arc, with Victoria feeling she went out on a high note at the peak of her fame. Continued acting career in the 90s. Though Victoria's run playing Pamela Ewing had cemented her status as a household name in the 80s, she continued working acting jobs after leaving the show in 87. She formed her own production company once her time on Dallas wrapped up. Victoria Principal Productions helped her flex more control behind the scenes, serving as a vehicle for passion projects and TV movies. She both produced and starred in projects like Don't Touch My Daughter in 1991 and The Burden of Proof in 92. She continued making guest appearances on popular programs like Home Improvement, where she played the love interest to Tim Allen's character. In total, she amassed over 30 acting credits in the 1990s, spanning both film and television work. Highlights included parts in shows like Law & Order, SVU, Family Law, and Providence. She also played a recurring role in the series Titans towards the end of the decade. But despite staying continually busy, she began re-evaluating her priorities. With her production company a success and more opportunities coming in, she found herself less fulfilled creatively. According to Victoria, around her 50th birthday, she went through considerable soul-searching. She dreamed of focusing full-time on passion business projects instead. The demands of Hollywood were also wearing on Victoria physically and emotionally. In interviews, she spoke of the exhaustive promotion schedules for films and fake friendships required in the industry. By 2000 and her last role on Titans, Victoria was ready to turn the final page on her acting career. Entrepreneurship and writing. She charted a new course in the 80s that would come to redefine her public image. Author and entrepreneur focusing on health and wellness. Victoria capitalized on her beauty and poise under the Dallas spotlight by putting out her first book in 1983. Titled The Body Principle, it provided fitness and dieting tips for women seeking to get in shape. The book kicked off a string of successful authoring credits for Victoria throughout the 80s and 90s. She published follow-ups like The Beauty Principle in 1984, The Diet Principle in 87, and Living Principle in 2001, all of which carry the underlying message of embracing a healthy lifestyle philosophy. By the early 90s, she looked to grow her burgeoning wellness brand by launching her own skincare company called Principal Secret. She had long held an interest in naturopathic medicine and believed affordable, quality beauty products formed the crux of self-care. Within years, revenue streams from Principal Secret surpassed residuals from Victoria's acting fame. Owning her own business business allowed her to take control of her public-facing career versus having it dictated by fickle Hollywood trends. Investors came calling to buy the profitable company, but she retained majority ownership up through the 2010s. Focusing on product R&D and customer feedback suited her detail-oriented nature far more than worrying about landing the next audition. By 2019, when she finally sold Principal Secret, Victoria had achieved full closure with her former acting life. Running a brand that gave confidence to women reflected deeper personal values than chasing fame for its own sake. Why she quit acting. After 25 years in the entertainment business, first as a TV darling on Dallas, then headlining made-for-TV movies, Victoria Principal decided to permanently walk away from acting in 2001. According to her statements and later interviews, burnout combined with waning opportunities lit a fire under her to exit Hollywood permanently rather than slowly fade into obscurity. She admits money was not a motivating factor. Financial security had long been established from her acting heyday and successful side businesses, but plum roles were growing scarce as ageism settled in her 50s. Victoria tired of having to take projects for a paycheck versus artistic merit. The mental taxation of peddling one's relevancy day after day via auditions and media appearances also exhausted her. On a deeper level, friends say Victoria yearned to leave the world of make-believe on her own terms. Having catapulted to stardom in her 20s on Dallas, she struggled watching the era of her glory days shift permanently into nostalgia territory. No longer the belle of the Hollywood ball, she grappled emotionally with cementing a lasting legacy off-camera rather than desperately chasing former fame. Victoria has no regrets having retired from acting. She's proud that her business accomplishments, charity ventures, and animal welfare efforts have brought deeper meaning, independent of fans remembering her as eternally youthful Pam. Having long ago escaped the clutches of typecasting, Victoria hopes her pursuits in health, wellness, and self-care inspire women in ways acting never could. Now in her 70s, critical reviews laud Victoria for building an honorable legacy completely detached from her acting renown. The smart businesswoman and activist found inescapable typecasting as Pam too creatively stifling. But by broadening her reach globally via corporate and humanitarian initiatives, Victoria Principal has earned distinction as a well-rounded public figure on her own terms. Now it's time to hear from you. What was your favorite moment from Victoria Principal's iconic role in Dallas? Let us know in the comments section below.